welcome to the latest episode of the B Movie Club. This is your host Kevin, and this week we're going to be doing Precious, based on the novel Push by Sapphire. Just kidding. We'll be doing This is Spinal Tap, ironically also based upon the novel Push by Sapphire, starring Rob Reiner, Christopher Guest, Michael McKean, and Harry Shearer. It's like a fictional rock band, and we'll go over that a little bit later. For those of you guys joining us for the first time, the B Movie Club is a place where I'll post whatever movie I'm going to be discussing. You can respond and send in questions, comments, favorite scenes, favorite quotes. You can contact me at Twitter at KD9575. You can find the B Movie Club homepage on Facebook. You can also post comments or questions on the YouTube page for the B Movie Club. So please do so. If you have not yet subscribed, go to the YouTube page and click the subscribe button. Go to the Facebook page and click the like button. I ask people that, have you liked my page yet? And they're, oh yeah, I love it. It's like, no, that's not what I'm asking. Have you physically clicked the button that says like? No, it's very complicated. All this new lingo. Anyway, have you also told a friend? Tell friends, tell family members, strangers on the street, enemies. Spread the word. Hook a brother up. Anyway, this week, the 1984 classic, This is Spinal Tap. Essentially, it's meant to be a documentary of this heavy metal band, kind of, at the tail end of their career. They're going on a world tour, and all their trials and tribulations, concerts getting canceled, not a lot of fans, the new album's not doing so well, internal strife between the band because the lead singer, played by Michael McKean, he's brought his girlfriend along, and how, she's kind of a Yoko Ono type and nearly splits up the band, and it's all very complicated. If you have not seen it, it is streaming instantly on Netflix, and came out in 1984, and in the theaters, it was actually one of the first movies of its kind. Kind of they call it a mockumentary, because it's supposed to be a documentary, but it's not real, obviously. All the characters are fake, but they act like, they're real interviews. It was also one of the first examples where everything was ad-libbed. They filmed like 12 hours of footage and just cut it down to their most funny or entertaining parts. Again, everything was ad-libbed. There was a kind of an outline of what they wanted each scene to be like, but the dialogue was totally just made up on the spur of the moment. So that's kind of interesting. Spinal Tap is Michael McKean, who you might remember as being Lenny from, not of Mice and Men, but from Laverne and Shirley. You have Christopher Guest, who later went on to become the Six-Fingered Man in the Princess Bride movies. And Harry Shearer, who you can still hear every week on The Simpsons. He's one of their voices. They actually sang all their own music, wrote all their own songs, and played all their own instruments. Originally, Rob Reiner, who plays the director of the documentary, Marty DeBurgi, he was originally supposed to also be a member of the band, but they were just like, you know what? The idea of Rob Reiner in spandex, no can do. No can do. What's especially interesting about this, I read articles how rock stars of the day went and saw this movie and didn't realize it was fake. In fact, they talk about how Ozzy Osbourne was sitting in the theater and he didn't understand why people were laughing. He thought it was absolutely accurate. Eddie Van Halen, another one, who literally watched the movie and was like, oh yeah, that happened to me. That was me. Our band had to go play on an Air Force base, a small concert there, just because, at one point we couldn't get concerts. So, another band member was like, I remember us getting lost underneath, the big arena before our concert. We couldn't find our way to the stage, and obviously the whole Yoko Ono thing has happened time and time again. It's like it deals with these kind of silly things that are based somewhat upon reality. They were talking about some of the fake reviews that Spinal Tap gets over the course of the movie, and how they were similar to actual real reviews that these bands had received at some point, these scathing kind of mocking reviews. So again, a lot of these, like, I think they said at one point, Steven Tyler from Aerosmith literally teared up watching some of the movie, which is kind of ridiculous, but there were scenes that hit a little too close to home. It's also interesting to note that they're playing like this British heavy metal band. They'll have crazy fake hair and kind of ridiculous accents. I mean, Harry Shearer, it's not even, I don't even know if he has an accent. I mean, it's kind of a Kevin Costner, I'm playing Robin Hood with no accent kind of accent, if you get my drift. Christopher Guest, which people don't really know, he's actually a baron. He has joint British and American citizenship. He doesn't really have an accent. He was born in New York. His dad was like a British ambassador. But there you go. So that's kind of an interesting thing. Also worthy of note, they've appeared as Spinal Tap like millions of times. Maybe that's overstating it. Quite a few times. They appeared on Saturday Night Live back in 1984, and it was so entertaining that the producer of the show at the time, Dick Ebersol, went to the cast and invited them to join the cast of Saturday Night Live. So, and they actually did. Christopher Guest and Harry Shearer joined the cast of Saturday Night Live for the 1985 season. Michael McKean actually joined 10 years later in the horribly ill-fated 1994 season, which included such luminaries as Janine Garofalo and Chris Elliott. If you ever have the opportunity to watch the 1994 season of Saturday Night Live, do not. Choose something else. Watch the news. Watch the Weather Channel. I don't care. Just don't watch any episodes from 1994. Horrible. Anyway, they've actually gotten together many times since that 1984 movie. They've actually released albums. They've released a number of video shorts and actually feature-length films, like in the 90s and in the 2000s. So you can find all those out and about. Also interesting to note, Christopher Guest, who took this type of filmmaking, this mockumentary, and went on to do like Waiting for Guffman, Mighty Wind, Best in Show. Basically every movie he makes is this kind of documentary where everybody improvs all their lines. If you haven't seen those are also excellent movies. In fact, in A Mighty Wind, he rejoins not Spinal Tap, but Michael McKean and Harry Shearer. They're the Folksmen. They're a band of folk singers singing such hits as Eat at Joe's, With a Smelly Old Blanket That a Navajo Wove. So there you go. If you haven't seen A Mighty Wind, it's also very amusing. Some of the hits that Spinal Tap had in the original movie included such blockbusters as Hellhole and Sex Farm and Big Bottom, which sounds ridiculous until you think back at the actual song titles of movies that were coming out by heavy metal bands back in '84. So it is a 95% certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. Like I said, it is streaming instantly on Netflix. A little overrated, in my opinion. It's definitely entertaining. There are a few big laughs, but it's mostly just kind of amusing rather than I'm falling out of my chair laughing. But it's a huge cult hit. I know it didn't do that well when it first was released, but since then, people love This Is Spinal Tap. So watch it. Send me your opinions. I'd love to hear what you think. Next week, I will be doing the horror classic. To celebrate St. Patrick's Day, I'll be doing Leprechaun in the Hood. Yep, starring Warwick Davis as the Leprechaun, and Ice-T. So there you go. It is streaming instantly on Netflix, so rush out and watch it if you've got the time. Send me your questions and comments, favorite quotes, favorite scenes. As you know, I end every episode with a totally out of context quote, and here it is. If God rested on the seventh day, what day did he invent Spinal Tap? And why couldn't he have rested that day too? There you go. Good times. Again, follow me on Twitter at KD9575. Like my B-Movie Club Facebook page. And subscribe at the B-Movie Club YouTube page. And don't forget to tell a friend. Thanks for joining us, and be well.